Hey guys, so I'm covering a square cake with this fondant, and I've measured the circumference of the square cake is 34 and the height is 9 inches high. So I have to make my fondant be in the way that when I roll it, it will go both for the height and for the width. So that's why I've not made it very thin, so that I can have what to roll and get what I want exactly. So remember to dust lightly with your corn flour or your icing sugar so that your fondant does not stick to your surface. Remember to always move your fondant as you roll so that it doesn't get stuck. So I'm done rolling out to the length I want. I actually need 34, but I have more than 34. And the height I need is 9 inches, but I'm going to cut for 10 inches. The reason for this is that I don't want too much excess on top of my cake when I'm working, so that it doesn't start falling off and get me confused or flustered while I'm working. Also, I've not rolled very thin because I want this cake is traveling quite some distance, so I don't want any stories on the way. So I'm going to check for the length. The length I need is 34 actually, but I'm going to have a bit of excess. So I have up to 39 here, so I'm going to take off some from the beginning, and I'll cut from 36. The reason being that I want some excess to give me space to work with as I cover. Instead of it being short, I want it to be just a little longer than what I need. So let me just take off a little more from here. Okay. So this cake is traveling quite some distance, and as you can see, it's high. It's about 9 inches high. So I'm going to put in 2 dowels into it for more stability, because I won't be there when the client is traveling with it, so that I don't have to use that much. So I'll just cut the excess. And push it down so that it can hold the layers of the cakes together while it's traveling. So let me do the final crumb coating before we start covering our cakes. Our fondant is already down. We just need a very light coat. The essence of this is to hold the fondant to the cake. If we go ahead to put it without this, it might be falling off because it's a bit dry. So just try to make this as neat as possible. So we're done with the second crumb coat, and we're about to start covering our cake. So we're going to start with the top. I've already rolled out the fondant. I'll just place it on top. And then we're going to flip this before we add the body. So here's my corn flour to make sure that it doesn't stick while we're working on it. To flip our fondant to the other side, sprinkle a bit of corn flour to make sure it doesn't stick, and then roll it up. This is quite big and heavy. It's okay. So I'm going to choose where I want as the front of my cake. So I think I want this part where I am to be the back. So all the sides are good. So let me just start. Let me use this as my back. So there's something I want to do. Normally I should cut my fondant into panels and then join all of them. But the weather has been funny and I don't want any stories that touch. So that's why I'm doing an all-in-one covering. So I don't want to start at the edges where I should start normally. So I'm going to start my fondant somewhere like here so that I won't have any story of it burst open during the journey and blah blah blah. So I'm just going to leave this. This is quite heavy. So I'm starting it here. Then I'm going to take the rest round. So at this point where they join, I'm going to cut it. So I'm taking off the excess that is at the bottom so that I can work well. So let me take off more of the excess at the joining. I'll try as much as possible to join it now that it's still fresh and wet. We'll come back to this. Let's start getting our sharp edges. Okay, make sure your cake can move. So I go down with this part, bring the fondant down to join the one on the board. You'll be sure that it can move. So we'll take off the excesses. Cut. Try to make a clean cut. corn flour.